Today we're going to begin instruction on Master Kuo Lien Ying's rare Taiji staff form. As I expressed before, it mainly came down through the Portrait Square lineage, and many of the other branches of lineage did not cover it, so it's a rare opportunity to preserve Sifu Guo's legacy. I already covered much of the basics in the previous videos, the one on Essentials of Kuo Lien Ying's staff form, and it covered many of the basic movements in the walking lines. And in the last video where we did the turn, and I showed you that it comes right out of the beginning of the form. If you've been practicing consistently the lessons that I've been presenting, then you'll have no trouble with learning the form, the first section of the form. The form is very much like the Tai Chi form in that it has a beginning section, a fairly short beginning section, and then we'll call it the second section, and then a repeat of the second section with a couple of turns, and then an ending section, very much like the Huan Ping Tai Chi form. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take actually the very first section. It's going to be about 5-6 moves. Um, if you've been following along the lessons, you would already learn some of the moves that are going to be presented today. And again, for time sake, I'm not going to go over all the details in each of those. What I've been trying to do is create a reference library that you can refer back to. And so I suggest you go to the staff playlist, and you'll be able to catch up on the lessons if you need to. And so I'll just present the form from the beginning, and I'll cover each of the moves basically, and then we can go from there. And make sure that if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll be sure to address them. Before we begin, I'm using a Rantan staff. Sifu always liked the Rantan staff, not the waxwood staff that Wushu uses. The Rantan staff, this one has a skin on it. And one thing about if you use a rattan staff with a skin on it, in kind of a moist day, it sticks on your skin and actually you get burns in the way of your hands. So you can get a skinless one too that doesn't have the outside finish, but this one is about 1.1 inch and flexible. You want a little bit flexible so you have some give to it when you do the finish of the move. You can work out with basically any kind of stick staff. Again, the staff should be 1 hand height above your head. I have this walking staff, and like if you practice in a public space, perhaps like going on the bus or something like that, having a stick that's more like a walking staff would be more comfortable to carry around rather than kind of like a martial arts weapon staff. So I use it also inside when I'm kind of practicing different techniques and stuff. The only thing about a short staff like this is you can't do the sliding as much as on the big staff. On the slide, you want about a foot from the end. You slide out to about a foot, and that's about the right distance for the stop on your arm. On the longer staff, you're gonna have to slide much more. If you're just beginning the staff, I suggest that you emphasize that slide so that it gets ingrained into your habit. That's like rote training. So again, instead of just, once you get used to it, it'll happen automatically. And again, as in the last lesson on the turn, you want to hold for that slide to the very end as we get into this lesson. in a workout space, the form is going to take a long rectangle. You could do it in a fairly narrow rectangle, or you can do it kind of in a boxy rectangle. For teaching the form, I'm going to use the clock as a direction. I always suggest that in your workout practice, you face the same direction every time, and in that way your brain will subconsciously ingrain the correct directions within your form. And when you get to a new space, you can kind of imagine yourself in your usual workout space, and that'll help you keep your orientation. So since the camera is facing me, this direction will be 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. And again, most of the movements on the staff are going to be happening on the long line. So it'll be basically 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock and facing 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. On the diagonal, I'm going to refer to as 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, but that's kind of the general diagonal difference. So, okay. So begin by being erect. And I'm going to show you the move from different directions. So in the very first movement from the beginning attention, you're going to flip the staff forward. And in flipping the staff forward, you have a little bit of a sit. It's a pretty simple move. You're going to use your wrists for flipping that staff forward, like that. One more time. You notice that also as I flip, the staff is ending up at that distance for the slide. So again, from here, it's going to be about a foot from the end. So that's the first move, the opening. From here, it's going back to that last lesson. Turn and strike. And then again, 1, 2, strike. So again, from the beginning, could be to flip into the opening, and then step, step. Remember to have that slide at the end, and the staff is up at an angle. From the beginning, flip into the opening, then step, step. Okay, one more time. Right here, you should be fairly straightforward. Okay? And have them kind of work in a really tight space. Flip into the opening, step, step. From here, we're going to raise the staff into overhead block and into the crane stance here. I had to adjust the camera so I have a little bit more space so I can move more freely. So again, from the beginning, flip into the opening, and then step to the left, hop, strike, step, hop, strike. From here, block into the crane. From this position, you're going to walk in a circle starting at facing about 10 o'clock, and from here, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About the 6th step, or you could do 8, you could do a bigger circle. You're going to want to end up on the right foot. So again, from crane stance and the overhead block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By the time you get to 6, which would be about 4 o'clock, you want to be facing straight at 12 o'clock. As you're walking around with the staff, is about 45 degrees. Okay, so again, from the beginning, slip into the opening, step to the left, step to the right, overhead, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. From 6, you're going to come with an overhead strike. We're going to cover this separately. So this will be overhead strike from here. So again, as you take into the step, that. Okay. Stepping in. On this overhead strike, staff comes straight over, and this ends up being the stop. Just like this is the stop, this is the stop. Make sure that your arm is horizontal and you're stopping against the inside. Don't use your armpit for the stop. You got lots of nerves in your armpit. You'd like to make your arm go numb. So it goes overhead, like that. Overhead. I'm going to cover this overhead stop strike more extensively, but as you're coming over, not only are you coming with this as being the pivot point, but you can also, at the very end, pull up for more snap, just like in this movement, pull it in to get more snap. Here, pulling up gets more snap too. So take it from the beginning again. Opening, step, step, overhead block into the crane. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And in this one, this will be even stance here. Okay, one more time. Flip into the opening. On the opening, your staff should be nose height. Okay. From here, you step to the left, step to the right, overhead block. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Overhead. From here, you're going to do, like in the walking line, simultaneous step and strike. And then simultaneous step and strike. You're going to come into the center and strike to the left. Again, if you've been following along the lessons, all these should be familiar to you. So the only new one is the overhead strike and the block and the circle walk. So let's do it one more time. Again, also, if you're in a fairly tight space like I'm working, I don't have my camera on the pivot pod, you're going to want to start instead of like dead center, which means that you don't have very much space for that first step out and turn. You might want to start off this way a little bit so you get more space for the first one and you come back to this position here. So from here, flip down, step to the left, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, overhead block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, get ready for the overhead, strike forward, come into the center, strike. And that would be the beginning, the end of the first section. From this position here on that overhead block, you can just go straight up into the overhead block in the crane. Myself, I have this little flourish that I like to do, but either one is fine. On the walking, the best way I could describe it is a little bit like a bakwa. So from this position here, like that. So again from here. So if you're doing you can do a big circle. So instead of 6 steps, you'd be taking 8 steps, but you're always going to end up on the even. So again from here, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From this move here, it's like that as you're taking a step. So I think the overhead block, the walk in the circle, and this overhead strike are the 3 new elements that we're throwing into learning the first section. So we'll just kind of cover that a little bit more extensively. So again, from the turn, when you're in this position, remember about nose height. So it's kind of angled up a little bit, coming up into the overhead block in the crane. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you'd be about like in this position when you come around to facing 12 o'clock. And then you're going to circle overhead so that the staff coming straight down. Okay, not at an angle like that, over. And then as you're stepping into the both the horse stance, if you take these new moves and just practice them over and over, you get the flow of it, the rope pattern, that'd help you out. Just take it from that last step and keep practicing that over and over. And from here, it's just a forward strike and a step, and a forward strike and a step, coming through the center. And this is all covered in earlier videos. You should end up in this stance here, into the first section. Good. Have fun with it.